Budgetpedia is a volunteer project. We meet every Tuesday at Civic Tech Toronto. And the purpose of our project is to make the Toronto budget more accessible to citizens, in order to support informed debate, people like you. We started in July 2015, first website version last November, and now we're working hard at the next version. So I'm just going to touch on a very few points, hopefully keep it under 5 minutes. So let me just quickly show you the website. Here it is. Let me just point out a couple of things. We've got a resource page which has about 150 website links, including a bunch of documentations, for example, on FPARs that Josie mentioned and other things. There's a budget roadmap which tracks the budget decision points. And something that might be of interest to people is that there's a 2016 sample decision roadmap which covers about 50 or 60 decision points starting in late May, actually, and continuing for the whole cycle. I know Josie's kept very busy the whole year pretty much with all that. And then, of course, we've got our Budget Explorer, which is an interactive graphic tool. So, you know, you can drill down to parks or something like that. You can get in context the analyst notes that Josie was talking about, which are really quite helpful. You can look at trends. You can switch from expenses to revenues to staffing. Hours of mindless entertainment there because of the graphics. So lots going on there. Oops, other way. So some of what we've learned, we've created what we call an operating budget functional taxonomy. It's a classification scheme that we think gives a simple overview of the budget to make it a little easier to think about. So we've divided services into general services, citizen support services, and administrative services. So, and they're all pretty familiar, I think, most of them to people. So here are the general services, so utilities, transport services, so we're combining roads, parking, and transit there for just getting around the city. And city commons, places to hang out, basically. So parks, libraries, and various attractions. In the citizen support services, emergency services that are obviously familiar to people. Human services, which these three groups, income, housing, and children's services, are now actually collaborating, which is super exciting. I think it's a really good step forward. And they have a website portal, highly recommended, check that out, and health services. And even the labyrinth, which is City Hall, which is where we are now, can be, I think, fairly well understood at a high level, you know, if it's organized like this. So if you take those 6 main delivery service groups that we've identified and sort them by spending, you get an idea of what the priorities of the City of Toronto are. Just glance at that for a moment. And let me point out a few trends that we've noticed. The overall budget is up, was up quite a bit after amalgamation till about 2010 and is fairly flat now. There has been a shift in composition, so citizen support services are down quite a bit. So water and TTC is up, income and housing is down, user fees are up, property taxes are flat. There's something going on with staffing, and we don't quite understand it because we don't have the data, but you can see that this is from the audited statements. Salaries and wages have gone from 41 to 51% of spending over this time period. We actually took what information we could and gave it to a highly qualified professional analyst. And his findings were somewhat cautiously, because of the poor quality of the data that we have, that after adjusting for inflation, average salary per staff has gone up at a 1.7% compound annual growth rate, which, because of compounding, has resulted in about $1 billion a year extra expense now for the city. Key motivations. We do find that most people are interested in local issues and have passions, local interests and specialized passions. So here are some examples of those. So our position is that local issues are informed by local data, and what we'd like to do is get local data to the people that have those local issues. It turns out the city has about 13,000 cost centers. I got a list. We're just working on those. So, you know, in principle, we'd like details released about all of those. Here's some examples of cost centers, sorry. There are also global motivations. I mean, we all know that we've got all kinds of disruptors coming at us, so we want to have an agile government, and we think that open data and collaboration with the community is going to help with that. We're always looking for partners in government and community partners, and we want to be constructive about all this. We're not after gotchas in any way. We think that not only does open data help with collaboration and support informed debate, but it also helps to focus minds since it's published to improve the quality of that data and set priorities, because not all data is going to be useful. Budgetpedia, now we're working on creating a formal data warehouse so that we can actually capture financial information from any government in Canada, and we're working at improving the user experience. But today's question is, what do you folks want, people that are listening here? So we've got a table right up there, and come and chat with us, and let's get the conversation going. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really want to thank both Richard and Henrik for adding such a powerful citizen and community leader perspective to the dialogue.